गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुसाक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः. If we observe life, we will see that man slash woman, human being, is caught up in default positions. And these default positions, default responses, default reactions, default convictions also, in spite of contrary knowledge present, is due to habit. Because we have repeated it so many times, it becomes the mainstay of the mind. We are not saying stop this habit. Then what do we need to do? If this is the habit of the mind, to create habits, and habits are created when you interact with something, if you interact with a reaction intensely, emotionally, it becomes the mainstay. If you become attached to it, then it becomes, depending upon the intensity of your emotion there, it will start coming forth in similar situations again and again and again and again. So masters say, don't get rid of this habit. Only create a new habit. More intensely, more emotion, with bhav, with feeling, with conviction. And that feeling, that new habit is, who is watching all that is going on? Right now you are listening. The words are going through your ear, appearing as words on your mind. And every moment, as long as I am speaking, this thought torrent will continue. And you know that the thoughts are coming and going. Create a habit which will require repetition as to who is knowing these thoughts coming and going. Just like you know the day comes and goes, you know the people come and go, you know the places come and go, you know the breath comes and goes, you know the emotions come and go, nothing stays permanent. Similarly, thoughts also come and go. As deep and meaningful the thoughts may be, but they are not permanent. Something else which is permanent, in its presence, these thoughts are getting illuminated. And that something else I am. And it is not an idea in your head. You are watching it. You are being it. You are watching the thoughts. You can remove the thoughts, but you cannot remove the watcher. If what has just been said is appreciated, and you have had glimpses every now and then, but you are not able to stay steady as the witness of the thoughts, unaffected, unconcerned, uninfluenced, unslaved by the thoughts, unattached to the thoughts. If this is your condition, if you observe and assess your life or your meditations, then the only ingredient missing is at a prakritic level, at the level of the nature, the mind needs to get more purified. And the only way mind can get purified, only way, permanently, forever, once and for all, is when it is focused on this observer, on this witness. When it becomes convinced once and for all that my basis, my essence is nothing but the self. Just like we are using thoughts right now to talk about the self, let the mind talk to itself that the only goal to pursue, the only focus, the constant alertness and vigilance about the self is paramount. It's not that the mind is going to create the self. Self is always. But in the contemplation of the self, the mind loses the steam of desire, the steam of extrovertedness, and slowly starts calming down. Just as it starts calming down, the glimpses, the disposition of being the witness becomes more regular. Just like on an ocean with too many waves, we cannot see the reflection of the moon. As the waves, for whatever reason, becomes far apart, slow down, and between the waves which are coming far apart, we are able to glimpse the complete orb of the moon. And when the waves calm down completely, we are able to see the reflection of the moon continuously, exactly the same way. If we are getting glimpses and we are not able to hold steady on to them, it's only because the mind has not calmed down. It's not your fault because you are not the mind, so don't blame. Instead, look at it as a project, as an operation that needs to be carried out. And do what is required to be done. That is, calm the mind. Calming of the mind can happen by sleep, by going into coma, by alcohol, by drugs, also by meditation, also by contemplation, also by japa sadhana, also by contemplation on the self. Be wise and choose the ultimate way. When you are contemplating on the self, do not physically pull your eyes back into yourself. Do not pull the mind inside your body to some specific location. Because self is not in a particular location. It is present, and that you are. You are not in a particular location. You are pervading the whole body. In fact, the self is pervading the whole universe. If you pull yourself, that pulling is only because we have not given up our body identification, and therefore this urge that I must go deeper and deeper within myself. It will create a headache. It will create a jada samadhi. It's unhealthy. Instead, get fired up by the contemplation of the self. That will result in purification of the mind, which is equal to not being affected by the thoughts coming and going. And if this is maintained on a regular basis, you contemplate on the self many times during the day, even if it is for a second, 5 seconds, keep touching base again and again and again and again. A momentum is created, a habit is created, wherein by default the mind is thinking about the self, contemplating on the self. Now it has become self-feeding. The contemplation has become a default position of the mind. Then it doesn't become an impediment in us abiding in ourselves. We have to find a way. After I stop talking, that mind will think, oh, I have to focus on the witness. You have to find a disposition, a poise, wherein even while the mind is thinking, you are that. It's not that the statement of the mind that I am that is going to result in something. Even while that seeking is going on by the mind, you have to fall into the witnessing. You have to be aware that this contemplation is also known by me. It's happening in the presence of the self. Then what is to be done? Nothing. Just be there. Till the next thought appears. And when it appears, again the same position. Not getting swayed by that thought or disgusted by the thought, not expecting a thought, not rejecting any thought, not retaining any thought, merely being there. Maintain this disposition